This is Dawn of War Dark Crusade, my favorite of the expansion packs on the base game, where you take control of one of 7 factions. Space Marines, Chaos, Orcs, Imperial Guard, Tau, Eldar, or Necron, and vie to become the last remaining faction on a planet that should probably just have been demolished for a brand new space highway. Our challenge run today is going to be a single unit type challenge, and let's codify those rules a little bit. Only one unit type is allowed to be alive at any time. If there is more than one, I must immediately make all but one imbibe some Kool-Aid. And 2, we win the challenge when we are the ones that manage to wipe every other faction off the map. If another faction does that, we gotta reload and do it again, potentially restarting the entire run. And today, we're taking control of the cheesiest of the macaroni men, the Eldar. With stealth and mobility mechanics galore, it is time to show the rest of the factions the true meaning of the word cheese and manipulate everybody to truly unfortunate ends. And also show off why they are consistently near the top of any competitive matchup. With all that said and out of the way, let's hop on over to the campaign map and acknowledge the fact that I'm only going to show the abbreviated progress here. And also, say hello to Steve! My boy! The tutorial pop-up you cannot get rid of. With how every skirmish map plays out the same, I'm only going to show off the special ones and this template map right here. There's a short stint of building up a gate, some generators, and a webway assembly, which is always quickly followed up by researching Shroud to hide every building in an area, and building a turret or two to deal with any enemies that show up. After doing that, I take advantage of my stealth to start capturing the map and using the stealth to destroy any units that wander into my base. The entire reason I consolidate the entire map is for defense missions, because you get to keep everything that you do. It's absolutely wild. Look at that small little... It's nuts. And you should never lose a defense mission. We always eventually transition, making some delicious Kool-Aid all over the floor. They spill it. It's rude. We finish consolidating the map and take advantage of the fact that we've got turrets at the enemy base to just get rid of them for us, winning potentially too early, and moving on. The skirmish missions give static access to super powerful honor guards that I pretty much just can't use because of Rule 1, by the way. So, since I can't actually go for any of these in any meaningful way, it's time to jump straight into the first of the set-piece missions in the game, against the Blood Raven chapter of the Space Marines, entirely because it's here. The objectives of this map are 1, taking out the HQ, which is a nice standby. It shows up in so many missions. It's very straightforward. Now for the unique objectives, there's capturing the Orbital Bombardment Center and being able to rain the heavens down on the Space Marines here, and then capturing the Relic so that the Space Marines are vulnerable to morale, which is useless. We jump directly into the standard standby of building up the starter base and getting stealth online with a couple of turrets, and it turns out the Blood Ravens here are completely blind and fall victim to the same strategy as a skirmish map. So, after a quick transition into warp with their anti-everything bullets and grenades, and the only balancing factor being you can have a max of 3, just absolutely wreck shop. Even when the Blood Ravens are mustering a bare minimum defense with direct counters for what I'm doing, they just don't offer any resistance. It was not worth showing anything else in this mission because nothing interesting happened. There just was no resistance. And it makes you wonder where all the blood comes from. Man, maybe they'd like some Kool-Aid. And I really do have to say, the Blood Ravens didn't justify their name as Space Marines. The entire mission had practically no resistance. You know what? I'm going to start a ranking as we go through all of the HQ battles. Space Marines, you're the first on the list. Congrats on being the honor. Let's hope that honor doesn't end up being a complete overblown position where you slowly lose all relevance. After wiping out the Space Marine presence here on Kronos, it's time to push towards the Imperial Guard. Except the Necron are a little too spooky and I need to back off, so I need to capture one of the special locations instead. This location is going to give me double my starting requisition if I manage to capture it for every battle in the rest of the game. So, what's the gimmick? Well, the gimmick is just mass storing up a bunch of power in a time limit against the Space Marine that can't see anything. So, you know, an incredibly easy and trivial win. God, you guys are so disappointing. Next, it's the Imperial Guard, because I'm incredibly worried about... Wait. No. Necron is still too spooky, and the less of them undead, the better. This mission is the most unique of the campaign. You've got to get to the other corner of the map after clearing a significant amount of the super spooky techno-zombies, set a bomb, then cross back and evacuate. Bonus objectives include a bunch of obelisks that activate during the escape that supercharge the techno-zombies by giving them the ability to be invisible, revive from the ground, stop your units on the floor, and steal your vehicles. And there's also the unit generation station that's not quite as important. So, overall, it's a really, really cool mission. And we're going to be starting it the same way we start every mission. We kill the commander, build an aspect portal and a webway gate, and then get a couple of generators going. Oh, right. The commander has to survive. Whoopsies! I forgot. So, run failed. Plus, we're being scammed out of the bonus 1,000 requisition that we're supposed to get from the special zone we took from the Marine. Bring out the dancing lobsters, I guess. I did originally think that I'd have to use Taldir as a distraction for this early part of the mission. It turns out it is just barely possible to get an HQ building up and a webway gate before the only webway gate is taken down, which would drop Taldir back onto the floor, which would kill her, which means we lose. And build a new HQ before the old one that the anti-vehicle tomb spiders can't take out before the starter one gets blown up. It is not easy, and it required repairing the webway gate mid-attack, but it does work. Plus, now we're on a ledge that the Necron cannot possibly reach with any unit except for the flayed ones, and they're too dumb to even try doing that. I take advantage of the ledge to wipe out the unit generation station, and then create a new base in its place, and this is honestly the first mission that I managed to break the AI so badly that they literally never attack again, even after building the new base. It is wild. So we do a quick wipeout of the obelisk for unit freezing, and the Void Dragon. We also say hi to the Super Mega Ultra Death unit of the Necron. They're monolith? boy, I hope that doesn't end up being a question in the Necron run. Anyway, we also suffer the effects of our own cheese, losing our entire set of all 3 warp spiders, and then do a little bit of testing to see how well the Wraith Lords do. Turns out, a population cap worth can take out a Super Mega Ultra Death unit. Unlike our Super Mega Ultra Neo Climax Death unit, the Avatar of Cain, whose special ability is to make all of our buildings produce units faster. I should not have to explain why that's not helpful. So, we build a webway gate and send Taldir into the corner to set the catacomb-destroying bomb. And almost as quickly as I can put together this sentence, she's already at the extraction point on the other corner of the map. Eldar are completely balanced and fair, and I will not be taking comments today. So, I suppose it's time to rank the Necron, and let's face it, it's not even close. Space Marines go to the bottom of the list. Having to abandon the base at the beginning, and just how tight the early timing had to be, clinches it pretty thoroughly. And now, you'd think it's the Imperial Guard's turn to get bopped, but it's not. I got it into my head to go and do the actually possible special zones first. This one gives the ability to act twice in a combat round, and has the gimmick of hitting a kill threshold before the opponent, and that number is different for any army at this location. It's also a pretty dang good showcase of the Fleet of Foot ability that most Eldar get access to. I can literally kite enemy units that are melee forever, while other squads fire. It's pretty good. It also makes the mission pretty trivial, since they just don't have enough going in the early sections of the fight to overwhelm me. And I'm gonna pretty much win any micro fight thanks to the absurd speed. There's also a little bit of a glitch on this mission. If you commit the ritual with your own units, the enemy doesn't get kill count. Anyway, easy win. Continuing down the train of special skirmishes, we've got the Spaceport Pavonis. The gimmick of this mission is to capture the pre-placed servitors on the map with plotting abilities able to circumvent the space battles above the skies of Cronus, letting us attack anywhere. And I have to know, can the Bone Singers capture the servitors? Yes, actually! And it makes this the first mission I'm able to progress on at the same time that I actually build a base. I'm even able to capture the servitors out from underneath the Necron in their base. And while sure, they are able to take them out from under me, it's also hard to fight off the combined force of 5 turrets at the same time with just a token army. They even get distracted going after my Bone Singer instead of preventing me from winning. I get the set threshold of 6 and just win. And it worked. It really shouldn't have, but it did. And also, as a perfunctory check, here's the forward base mission. The forward base mission is not possible. At least as the Eldar. And the best run I had was with the Fire Prisms, and they couldn't even take out a single of the 3 enemy bases. So, yeah. It's time to stop faffing about and take on the Imperial Guard, home of what was probably the best lesson I had in this run. Optional objectives are optional. Truly groundbreaking knowledge, I know. Objectives first here. Take out the HQ, and the optional objectives of capturing a cannon with the size of Canada, and technically taking out some artillery and secondary bases. So the big scary thing about the Imperial Guard that I was so nervous about for so long is that their HQ has the ability to just detect things in an area. Anything. Literally anything. So while their units are absolutely blind as a bat, they can't see me, and quite frankly, despite the fact that they know where I am, they'll never attack until they get access to Psykers 30 minutes into the battle. They just don't detect my buildings despite having the ability. And I know they can detect things, because during a test run, I built some Rangers, which are just invisible scout units for the Eldar, and the Imperial Guard here do actually know to detect them, centered on the Rangers, not the buildings. So they know how, it's just that buildings not even on their radar. So I fortify, and I clear the nearby area with fire prisms, which have the awesome ability to look really impressive while they're doing stuff, but with the only singular downside of not being able to target where they shoot, making them functionally pretty useless, unless you've already got a strong army. I also see this little ledge outside the edge of this area, and I have to try. I teleport to this little corner of the map and build a webway gate that's just perfectly outside the vision range of the guard. And then I just dump Dark Reapers through the portal and slaughter everything until I throw them at the Super Mega Ultra Neo Climax Supreme Commander Death Unit of the Guard, a vehicle named the Baneblade. And I don't even break through, I just hop over the gun trench with a horde of Vipers and clear a landing site. Repeating my success with Webway Gate, I just warp in a horde of fire dragons and absolutely melt the Sons of Cronus' HQ. So, good job! Good job, Sons of Cronus! You actually did put up one heck of a fight. So, I do get to rank you. And it's not a hard ranking. You're solidly in the middle. You were nowhere near as hard as the Necron. I did not need to abandon my base. But also, the Space Marines were a walkover. Sorry, but it's true. Well done, Imperial Guard. Truly the chaff you're known as. After getting a small upgrade, that's important for later, it's time to move on to the next in the elimination order and take out the Tau, because Gorguts is trying to get ahead for his pole, and we can't have that because I don't want to lose a run to the AI killing each other. So what do we have to do for the Tau? Well, victory objective here is assassinating their ethereal commander tucked away in the corner of their base. And there's really only one optional objective: capturing the communications tower in the middle of the map. Sure, there's technically wiping out the optional bases too, but that's not really a meaningful objective, and all it does is reduce attack pressure later. So let's just take a look at the starting aggression of the weakest of the factions in this game. Well, it gives us enough time to build a starting of a base, but not enough time to really defend it. Plus, they bring Pathfinders with absurd detection radius. So, we teleport out and build a new base with Blackjack, Bone, and the Tau. They literally never attack again at any point, despite having the ability to do so, and us poking directly into their units, giving our position away. So I'm not going to give it any more of a showcase to the Tau here, then. We're just going to speed run through the points. We watch the Wiggle Dance a little bit and transition over to more Dark Reapers. We take advantage of Fleet of Foot and just sprint in and commit an assassination of the easiest mission so far outside of the Space Marines. And honestly, for the difficulty ranking, the Tau do have to be higher than the Imperial Guard, because I did at least have to abandon my starting base. If it wasn't for that, they would be on par with the Space Marines. Sorry, guys. It's just, you didn't attack or defend with a much more cheesable objective. Following the Tau, we've actually got the hardest fights ahead of us, and it's not the HQs, it's the skirmish maps. The AI have managed to build up enough that they get 2 bases, which means they have enough pressure that I have to fully invest in the burn it to the ground strategy, which also involves kiting enemies with the Fleet of Foot fire dragons while I burn down the HQs. And unfortunately, this doesn't actually work for the orcs. They just have a little bit too much melee that prevents me from shooting. And even in a matchup the Howling Banshees should win, melee underneath turrets, they don't win. It's so bad. So we'll come back to the orcs later and show them the true meaning of the word cheese. That said, it's time to hop on to the throes of chaos and see where things land. And chaos is actually kind of scary, and have the most put into the HQ battle of any on this entire game. First is the objective, destroying the Hellgate. Man, that reminds me of Hellgate London. I wonder how that game turned out. Oh, never mind. I might still play through that someday. Anyway, optional objectives are saving some of our people from sacrifice, despite the fact that they're in safer hands on the sacrifice altar than in my army, and stopping the repeated summoning of the Super Mega Ultra Neo Climax Murder Death Kill Bot 9000 unit. And final is stopping the Blood Pulse, a thing that kills any unit on tainted ground every single minute. Oh, and the Chaff unit of the Chaos acts as a detector, by the way, meaning that they get around my stealth as long as that unit is around. So anyway, we start the same as always, kill the commander, and start building. First the Aspect Portal, then the Webway Gate, and a couple of power generators. Except, they attack at the 16-second mark. Pain! There's absolutely no way we can keep the starting base with this pressure. So we restart and abandon to the bottom. Turns out the word bearers here actually have some adaptive AI and can find me down here. And just, that's such a treat. Awesome, fantastic. Whatever. This would be fine on its own, except for the fact that now they are building the Super Mega Ultra Neo Prefix Climax Murder Death Kill Bot 9000 of the Chaos, the Bloodletter. Here's a list of its weaknesses. It loses HP outside of combat, and it's not a detector. Now here's a list of its strengths. It gains HP while it's in combat, deals bonus damage to all units and buildings, and can be spawned from any commander unit, including squad commanders, at any time or location. You just have to have it there, and has the ability to fly over obstacles twice in quick succession. So I've got to abandon the second base too. The detectors and lack of turrets is actually too much for me to defend. So I use the relocation ability defensively for the first time this entire playthrough and bring stuff over, saving the barest amount of resources that I can. And rebuilding my base actually manages to give me enough time that the new set of turrets I was building managed to finish the Bloodletter, giving the time I need to stabilize. I do a small transition to capture a strategic point, and the stability is actually enough that I can handle the Bloodletter when it spawns again, and this time I'm just kiting it so it barely does anything against the buildings. Nice! I do a full base fortification, and now that there is nothing that can stop me, do a quick transition over to Dark Reapers, and nothing can stop them, except for when these guys start stopping them. And the turrets I built mulch through everything, and I repair things between every unit transition, quickly following it up with a Burn Heinard impression and burning every single building I can reach to the ground with, well, Fire Dragon, where I really start to internalize that Eldar are a counter unit pick. We do one final showdown against the Bloodletter with our Wraith Lords and wipe the Chaos off the map. Did you know that Wraith Lords are the souls of Eldar trapped in the Wraithbone? I didn't until I started looking for a good model of them for the video and failed. But regardless, we do manage to finish off the Chaos, and now it's time to rank this behemoth of a faction. And it's not even remotely close. Straight to the top of the difficulty. These guys were the pinnacle. If you're only going to do one, do them. I capture another skirmish for the Honor Guard secret unit, and then hop straight into the last skirmish map of the run, against a double Orc matchup. And, despite the Viper being listed as an anti-infantry vehicle, it's significantly better at building nuking than it has any right to be. Combine that with their extreme mobility, and, I mean, you can see what they're doing. They just took out the first HQ of 2. It definitely takes a little bit of juggling to get them to take out both HQs before exploding, but it does work, and it's the only way I managed to find a way through this skirmish. Thanks, Honor Guard! Couldn't have done it without you. And that only leaves the final battle against Gorguts himself. We've got the objective of assassinating Gorguts, and the optional objective of triggering the infighting of the Wah! By burninating banners by the way of bomb, which is good, because the initial pressure is too much to handle, and they're throwing detectors again. So, it's back to good old reliable. Teleport away and build a new base with Blackjack and Bones. Since the Orcs are too dumb to even attempt to find us here, it's a free win. And I build the unit I've always wanted to be good and just never is. The Ranger Squad that you can have a maximum of 1 out at any time. With fully upgraded range tech, they outrange all detectors, except Tau Pathfinders in the game. So I let the boys plink away to crush the Head Crush's banner, triggering the unique event of the Orcs. Infighting! Fun! And while I do a quickie on the Quick Mechs banner, the Sluggas love their fireworks and stand at a respectful distance. Which is very quickly followed by the Rocket Rangers performing Rocky Maintenance and losing their banner too. The Burna Boys love a good bonfire, so I show them while the Super Mega Ultra Neo Prefix Climax Murder Death Kill Bot 9000 Part 2 Electric Boogaloo unit of the Orcs is freed thanks to the infighting. God, I love the Squiggoth. It's so bad, but I love it. We clear our way into the Orcs' final base, and rather than watch any of that, I decided to watch the endless fight of the Three Stooges over here. They can't kill each other! And after eventually breaking our way inside, we give Gorguts a back massage for the better part of an hour and laugh at how he has more hit points than the literal upgraded HQ behind him. That I blew up. And I'll just do the ranking now. Orcs are a little bit lower than the Tau because I already learned my lessons, and they had literally no protection against the Rangers. I kinda wish they were a better finale to the run, but what can you do? The Eldar definitely had their Festival of Cheese here on Cronus, and it was a pretty neat run overall. I wouldn't really recommend doing the full game under this rule set, but the Chaos in the Orc HQs were fantastic, truly encapsulating everything that you can do. With everything said and done, I think it's time for a little chaos in my life. Enjoy this while the game crashes after the final cutscene.